You spend hours building a project. Perfect cuts, tight joints, everything looks amazing. Then you apply the finish, and suddenly it looks blotchy, cloudy, rough, or streaky. Now your beautiful project looks like a beginner mistake. If you've ever had that sinking feeling, like all your hard work was wasted at the very last step, you're not alone. I've been there too, and I know how frustrating it can be to put your heart into a build, only to watch the final step undo all your careful craftsmanship. But here's the truth, most woodworkers don't realize. The problem usually isn't the finish. It's 5 simple mistakes almost everyone makes. Most finishing disasters are completely preventable if you know what to look for. I see these problems pop up with beginners and even experienced makers all the time, and sometimes it only takes a tiny tweak to go from ruined to professional. And mistake number 5 is the one that ruins more projects than anything else. Let's fix that. In this video, I'll walk you through the 5 finishing mistakes you're probably making, and how to fix them, so your next project can look as good as you imagined. Grab your sandpaper, and let's jump in. Let's start with the foundation of every great finish: sanding. I know, everyone wants to skip ahead and see the shiny top coat, but if your sanding is sloppy, no amount of expensive finish will save you. Uneven sanding or skipping grits is the #1 culprit behind blotchy finishes and those annoying swirl marks that pop up as soon as you lay down stain or poly. I've made this mistake myself, thinking, 120 grit is good enough, only to find out the hard way that it's not. A proper sanding progression is key. I always recommend moving through the grits in order 80, 120, 150, 180, and finally 220. Don't skip steps, even if it feels tedious. Each grit removes the scratches from the previous one, getting you closer to that perfectly smooth surface. If you jump from 80 to 220, you're not removing the deeper scratches. You're just polishing them in place, and they'll show up under your finish like a neon sign. Sanding with the grain is another critical step that people overlook. Going against the grain, even just a little, leaves cross-grain scratches that are nearly impossible to hide once the finish is on. I always take my time on the last sanding pass, moving slowly and deliberately with the grain, feeling for any rough spots or scratches with my fingertips. And don't forget the corners and edges. Those are the places where uneven sanding is most obvious. I like to hand sand these areas after using the random orbit sander, just to be sure. If you leave machine marks or swirlies behind, they'll pop like crazy once the stain hits. One trick I use is to shine a raking light across the surface, something at a low angle. This exaggerates any scratches or low spots, making them easier to spot before it's too late. Sometimes I'll even mist the surface with a little water or mineral spirits. That wet look shows you exactly what the finish will reveal, and if you see scratches now, you'll see them forever. Sanding dust matters too. It can fill up the grain and create a muddy look if you don't remove it between grits. I always vacuum thoroughly after each sanding step, and then wipe down with a tack cloth before moving on to the next grit. A lot of folks rush sanding because it's boring, but think of it as the prep work for a great paint job. You wouldn't repaint your car without a perfect surface, and your woodworking project deserves the same attention. If you take your time with sanding, you've already solved half of your finishing problems, before you even open a can of stain or varnish. Remember, a finish can only look as good as the surface beneath it. So next time you're tempted to rush, slow down and sand right. Your future self will thank you. Here's a mistake I see all the time, especially with folks working on pine, maple, or birch. You sand it smooth, slap on the stain, and blotches, dark spots, light streaks. The color is all over the place, and it just doesn't look professional. This is where wood conditioner comes in. A simple step that makes an incredible difference in your results. Certain woods are notorious for absorbing stain unevenly. Pine, for example, has soft and hard grain that soaks up finish at different rates. Without wood conditioner, your stain soaks right into the soft spots and barely touches the harder areas. The result? A patchy, amateur look that screams DIY gone wrong. Wood conditioner acts as a primer for stain. You brush or wipe it on, let it soak in for a few minutes, then wipe off the excess. What it does is seal up the soft grain just enough so that the stain can penetrate more evenly across the whole board. It's not magic, but it's close. I always use wood conditioner on tricky woods, and honestly, it's made me look like a better woodworker than I am. It gives everything a level playing field, a professional, even color without the guesswork or anxiety. If you're working with maple or birch, don't even think about skipping this step. Some folks try to rush through or use homemade alternatives, but I recommend sticking with a good oil-based or water-based conditioner, depending on your stain. Just follow the directions on the can, and you'll see a dramatic improvement. And don't forget, timing is crucial. If you let the conditioner dry too much before staining, it won't do its job. If you stain too soon, it won't be absorbed evenly. I usually wait 15 minutes, then apply my stain while the conditioner is still a little tacky. If you've ever wondered why your pine projects never look like the ones in the magazines, this is probably the reason. Wood conditioner is your friend. Don't skip it. So next time you're about to stain a pale, blotchy wood, pause, reach for that can of conditioner, and give your project a fighting chance at a flawless finish. Now let's talk about the most tempting mistake in the shop, putting on thick coats of finish. I get it. You want that rich, glassy look, so it seems logical to lay it on heavy and get it done in 1 or 2 coats. But here's the thing. Thick coats almost always backfire. When you apply finish too thick, you run into a ton of problems. Streaks and brush marks get trapped in the surface. Bubbles pop up and harden in place, leaving rough little craters. And worst of all, the finish can turn cloudy, hiding the beauty of your wood underneath a plastic-looking haze. Thin coats are the way to go, every single time. I know it takes patience, but applying multiple thin coats allows each layer to cure properly, builds up a deep, clear finish, and minimizes problems. I usually do 3 to 5 coats of wipe-on poly, sanding lightly between each one. The finish looks richer and feels smoother, with none of the headaches thick coats bring. Letting each coat dry fully is just as important. If you rush and apply another coat while the last one is gummy, you'll trap solvents inside, and the finish might never cure right. That's when you get that soft, sticky feel that never quite goes away. Another big reason to go thin dust and debris, have less time to settle into a quick drying coat. A thick coat stays wet longer, acting like flypaper for every speck of dust floating around your shop. If you're using a brush, avoid the urge to keep loading it up. Dip just the tip and wipe off the excess before you go to the workpiece. If you're using a rag or pad, squeeze out any extra finish before wiping. Think damp, not soaked. I know the urge to finish fast is real, but trust me, a thin, patient approach pays off. You'll spend less time fixing mistakes, and your project will look and feel like something you'd be proud to sell or display. Next time you reach for that can of poly or lacquer, remember, less is more. Build your finish in thin, even layers, and you can't go wrong. Let's talk about tools, because the right applicator can make or break your finish. It's tempting to grab whatever brush or rag is nearby, but using the wrong tool can leave you with streaks, lint, or even ruined surfaces that are tough to fix. Cheap brushes are a common culprit. They shed bristles right into your work, leaving you picking out hairs and cursing under your breath. Foam brushes might seem convenient, but they can introduce bubbles and don't always lay down a smooth, even coat, especially with oil-based finishes. Dirty rags are another problem. If your rag isn't perfectly clean, you'll rub dust, lint, or even old finish right into your new surface. That can create rough patches, streaks, or weird colors in your top coat. I always use a fresh, high-quality, lint-free cloth or t-shirt rag for wipe-on finishes. Matching the applicator to the finish is critical. For water-based finishes, use a synthetic brush. These don't swell up or get ruined by water. For oil-based finishes, natural bristle brushes work best. If you're applying shellac, a good quality pad or brush makes a world of difference. And don't overlook specialty tools. For large, flat surfaces, a foam roller can lay down a super even coat with minimal effort. For small, detailed work, artists' brushes give you control without drips or excess finish. Before you start, take a second to inspect your applicator. Are there loose bristles? Is the rag clean? Is the foam in good shape? Taking a minute here can save you hours of sanding and fixing later. If you're finishing a big project, consider switching to a fresh applicator halfway through. That way you avoid buildup or contamination, especially if you're working with a fast-drying finish. The bottom line, the right tool for the job means a smoother, cleaner finish and a lot less frustration. Don't skimp on this step. Your project deserves it. This last mistake is the silent killer of perfect finishes, dust. You can do everything else right, sand perfectly, use conditioner, apply thin coats with a quality brush, and still end up with a rough, gritty surface if dust lands on your wet finish. It's the #1 reason beautiful finishes turn rough at the last second. Dust is everywhere in the shop. Sawdust gets kicked up by sanding, cutting, even just walking around. If you don't control it, it'll settle right into your finish as it dries, leaving a texture that feels like sandpaper. I've learned the hard way that you have to clean your workspace before you even think about opening a can of finish. I vacuum every surface, benches, floors, even overhead lights. Then I let the dust settle for 30 minutes, because whatever's floating in the air will eventually come down. Right before applying finish, I wipe the project down with a tack cloth, a sticky cloth that grabs every last particle of dust. Don't use a regular rag for this, it just pushes dust around. Tack cloths are cheap and work wonders. If you can, finish in a clean area away from the main shop. Sometimes I'll even set up a makeshift spray booth with plastic sheets, just to keep airborne dust off my wet surfaces. It doesn't have to be fancy, just clean. Another pro tip, wear clean clothes while finishing. Dust clings to your sleeves and can fall onto the project while you work. I keep a clean shop apron just for finishing steps. If you do get dust nibs in your finish, don't panic. Let it dry, then lightly sand with 400 grit paper or a brown paper bag, and wipe clean before the next coat. But prevention is always easier than fixing. So remember, the battle against dust is won before you start finishing. A clean project, a clean workspace, and a little patience go a long way toward that glass-smooth result. So if your finishes have ever looked blotchy, cloudy, streaky, or rough, one of these 5 mistakes is probably the reason. Now I'm curious, which one have you made before? Tell me in the comments. I love hearing about your experiences. Sometimes your story helps another woodworker avoid the same headaches. Remember, nobody gets it perfect every time. Even after decades in the shop, I still catch myself making these mistakes now and then. But each time you fix just one, your results get better, your confidence grows, and your projects start looking like the ones you've always admired. That's the real reward for attention to detail. And if you want to improve your woodworking even faster, check out the next video where I reveal 7 measuring mistakes that secretly ruin most woodworking projects. You might be making one right now. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you there. Let's keep building together.